You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313, and on today's episode, for the first time since Christmas of 2016, the Cleveland Cavaliers defeated the Golden State Warriors in a complete team effort, while the Detroit Pistons rocked their City Edition Bad Boys jerseys, but they were overpowered by the Phoenix Suns. We're going to break all that down on today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313. Let's roll. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in the place to be, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Pistons from the D. This is Let 'Em Know Kings in the 3-1-3. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313, your Sacramento Kings, Detroit Pistons, and Cleveland Cavaliers post-game reaction podcast. And I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. We got an absolutely loaded program for you today. But before I start the show, I would like to remind you in a friendly manner that you can find Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313 on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, and wherever else you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms that I just mentioned. If you could be so kind and generous, please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode, which will be tomorrow, even though tomorrow is an election day and no NBA games will be played. I'm still going to do an episode for each and every one of you, because the Pistons will take on the Warriors and the Kings and Rockets round 2 tonight in Houston. We will be recapping both of those games coming up tomorrow, so stay tuned for that one. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and rate Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313 and give it a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please give it a 5-star review. On whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, please leave a positive review on this podcast. It is a great way to support the show, and I truly appreciate every single one of you that have tuned in to today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in the 3-1-3. In order to play a good team, you're going to have to beat a good team. And in order to beat a team by the name of the Golden State Warriors, I know, Kings fans, you're probably reliving a whole lot of trauma by saying the name Golden State Warriors. I don't blame you. But in order to play, or I should say not only to play, but to beat a great team like the Golden State Warriors, you're going to have to play a complete 48-minute team effort basketball game. Well, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they did just that, as they took down the Golden State Warriors 115-104, ending a 16-game losing streak against the Warriors. The last time we beat the Golden State Warriors, Richard Jefferson, Kyrie Irving, and LBJ, LeBron the GOAT James, was in a Cleveland uniform. And now for the first time in 16 games, we didn't have Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, or Richard Jefferson that I noted. But we did have Tristan Thompson, the same Tristan Thompson that was in the 2016 team. We did have Darius Garland that went absolutely crazy. We did have Donovan Mitchell, who absolutely did his damn thing with 31 points and 7 assists. We did have Max Strus, who scored 15 big clutch points. And we did have Evan Mobley, who had another double-double. And it was a hell of a feeling. It was a hell of a feeling for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They get their first win inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and let me be honest with you, we needed this win in the worst way. And let me tell you why. Before the Golden State Warriors, this Cleveland Cavalier team suffered a tough loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers, both at home, by the way, to the point where the OKC Thunder and the Indiana Pacers went on a big run, and ultimately, those big runs by the Thunder and the Pacers decided the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then you travel to Indiana for the first day, or actually, I should say, you laid the worst egg of the season at home against the New York Knicks on Halloween night, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. And then you travel to Indiana in an in-season tournament game. And by the way, Indiana, you better change your in-season tournament court because it is the worst in-season court that I've ever seen of all time. But that is beside the point. The point is, the Cleveland Cavaliers needed a confidence booster. The Cavs needed a confidence-boosting win in order to get themselves right back on track, but to feel confident about themselves going into a big 4-game road test starting on Wednesday against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and a chance to get them back for what they did in your home crib in their home opener on October, I think it was 27th or 28th, I don't know, but whatever the case may be, the Cavaliers did just that. Donovan Mitchell said this: "It's a hell of a feeling. I know this is a rivalry, so I know how much this one meant to the fans. We're trying to ultimately get to the level they've been at a long time, and we put together a full game tonight." And I agree with that. I definitely agree that the Cleveland Cavaliers played a full 48-minute performance. Was it pretty at times? No. It wasn't. What was pretty, though, was the Cleveland Cavaliers' defense. That's what stood out to me in this game. I love the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers defeated the Golden State Warriors at their own game, meaning we forced Golden State to make a last-minute, last-ditch decision. And I love what Austin Carr, a.k.a. C, I love you, guy. I love you, my guy. But Austin Carr made a really, really good comment on the Bally Sports Ohio or Cleveland Cavaliers TV broadcast. I think the Bally Sports thing is probably going to go a little bit like out of sorts, because that's another story for another day. But as it pertains to what Austin Carr said, Austin Carr mentioned on the Cavaliers TV broadcast a few 24 hours ago, where me and my best friend, my Cavalier fan, my NBA basketball girl that watches NBA with me, and we voiced this game on our Instagram, Austin Carr said, if Golden State makes a last-minute decision, we could catch them out of whack. Now, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson ultimately got their buckets. They did what they had to do. We did a really good job of limiting Chris Paul. We did a really good job, for the most part, of containing Kevon Looney. We did an outstanding job, in my opinion, containing Draymond Green. But the biggest play of the game, the biggest moment that stood out to me, was Karis LeVert clamping down Steph Curry. I mean, my God, this man was defending one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, arguably the greatest shooter in NBA history, by the name of Steph Curry. You know, the guy from Davidson. You know, the multiple NBA titles. You know, the greatest three-point shooter of all time. We get all of that. And Steph Curry, or I should say, Karis LeVert, did an outstanding job of defending. He got the Junkyard Dog chain, or the Cav Victory chain, against because of it. And Tristan Thompson said about his defense, he said, and I'm going to quote Tristan Thompson here, "That shit is contagious." Hell yeah, it is. Karis LeVert did an outstanding job of not getting screened by Steph Curry, because if you get screened, if Steph Curry uses a screen and you get screened after Steph Curry, guess what? He's going to have a wide open three, and 9 times out of 10, he's going to make that wide open three. He's going to make you pay by you getting screened. And what the Cleveland Cavaliers did, they did a really great job of prioritizing the defensive end of this game, because once the defense started clicking on all cylinders, the offense soon followed, and it was a complete team effort. I congratulate the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have to give kudos to JB Bickerstaff, even though I hate his goddamn guts. I hate his guts with a passion. But he coached a well-played basketball game and a great team effort. And I love what he said in the post-game locker room. He said that the Cleveland Cavaliers got this win together. That's what the most important thing is. The Cleveland Cavaliers played together. They look like the 2022-23 Cleveland Cavaliers, where they were clicking on offense, or on clicking on defense, I should say. And once we got stops on the defensive end, the offense soon followed. It was an outstanding job for the Cleveland Cavaliers. As far as Golden State, not as much. Klay Thompson said we didn't play with the force we needed to win this game. We definitely need to rebound the ball better. You can't give this team that many second chance points. We did a really good job of crashing the offensive glass and getting a whole lot of second chance points. And did you know, for all my new viewers out there, that Golden State and Cleveland squared off in 4 straight NBA Finals from 2015 to 18. The Cavaliers' lone championship occurred in 2016 when they rallied from a 3-1 series deficit and won Game 7 on the road. The teams will compete the final game Saturday night in San Francisco. And let me tell you something. I think Golden State is going to make a whole lot of adjustments. I expect Golden State to come with a different energy because the Golden State Warriors don't lose that many games in the Chase Center. The Chase Center is one of the toughest arenas to play. So if the Cleveland Cavaliers can come to San Francisco with that same energy, with that same game plan that they did last night, we could potentially sweep the Golden State Warriors in a season series, and that could be huge for us down the road come playoff time. But this was a complete team effort by Cleveland, and that's what I'm mostly impressed about. The stats for this game: nearly 50% for the field shooting for Cleveland. Nearly 50%. That's outstanding. And that is a good Golden State Warrior team. That is a great team, actually, with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, CP3, Kevon Looney, Tristan Jackson Davis, among others. That is a good basketball team that the Cleveland Cavaliers played, and they beat a really good team. You talk about a confidence booster. That is a win that the Cleveland Cavaliers could definitely build on right down the road. As far as three-point percentage, you gotta give it to Golden State. I mean, they got better three-point shooters than Cleveland. 39% from three compared to 29. Nothing against Max Strus, nothing against Donovan Mitchell, nothing against those people, but my God, Golden State has that much better of a shooting transparency than Golden State in that regard, or Cleveland in that regard. The rebounds, 54-44. That was a big thing that stood out to me in this game, but 17 offensive rebounds for Golden State. I think Kevon Looney did a much better job of out-rebounding of Evan Mobley. I would not say Jared Allen because this was only his second game back, and he looked like the vintage Jared Allen that we all know and love, but the points in the paint, this is impressive. 58 for Cleveland, 24 for Golden State. I mean, that is the perfect game plan of how to beat this Golden State Warriors team. All they cared about was three-point shooting. All they live and die for was the three-point shot. Now, Cleveland played a little bit to their style, a little bit to start this game. They were chucking some threes. I get all of that. But then Cleveland realized, wait a minute, this is not our style. This is not our type of game. Our game comes when we attack the paint. Our game happens when we live and die on the defense. If we get good stops on defense, the offense would follow, right? And I think the Cleveland Cavaliers did a much outstanding job of controlling the paint and dominating in that area. They had 18 turnovers tonight, which I'm a little disappointed about. You got to clean it up because if if we have like 20 or 25 turnovers against a Golden State team, which electric as it is, they could make us pay. And that is a big point of emphasis that Jamie Bickerstaff must have come Saturday in San Francisco. But all things considered, great team win and great team effort by the Cleveland Cavaliers in this win. I need to give credit to Golden State, though. First of all, Steph Curry just does Steph Curry things. 28 points for him, 4 assists, 1 steal. He was 7-11 from three-point range. Klay Thompson, 15 points, 3 for 9 from 3. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Draymond Green, 18 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block, and he got kicked below the belt by Jared Allen. And as a Cleveland Cavalier fan, Draymond Green deserves it. But if you're talking about a real NBA fan, that should have been a flagrant foul on Jared Allen. I need to be honest with you. The refs did the right thing of not calling that, but if we were going to keep it real, and if we were going to keep things honest with y'all, I think Jared Allen deserved a flagrant foul for kicking Draymond Green below the belt. But Draymond Green definitely deserved it, and the refs did not call it, so to him. As far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, what else can you say about Donovan Mitchell? Second in the NBA in scoring, and he's proving his worth. Why? 31 points, 5 for 11 from three-point range, 7 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. Evan Mobley just came up really, really big. 13 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. Max Strus with 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. DG had a really good game, 24 points. He was 0 for 5 from three-point range, but he was 12 of 13 from the free throw line, which was absolutely huge. 7 assists, 3 rebounds. Karis LeVert had 6 points with 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a game-sealing defensive stop on Steph Curry. The way he clamped down on Steph Curry was absolutely outstanding. Great team win for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I bet Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors are going to be pissed the hell off tonight because they got to travel to Detroit to take on a Detroit Piston team that was overpowered by the Phoenix Suns. Detroit is going to be in for a very long night, and I will tell you why when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313, and I don't know how I can put this in the most PG way possible. Or actually, I'm going to go off because this isn't PG. The Detroit Pistons are fucking soft. I don't mean to say it in like that form of fashion, but I gotta call it what it is. We are soft as the Phoenix Suns overpowered the Detroit Pistons 120-106. But first, I gotta start with a little bit of positive. All right? And I'm not just talking about how I was truly impressed with how Marcus Sasser played. I'm gonna get to that in just a second, but I want to start by talking about the Detroit Pistons City Edition uniforms for this season. They were wearing black, and they paid homage to the 1989-1990 Detroit Pistons. You know, the Detroit Bad Boys. And they had legends out onto the floor with Isaiah Thomas, Rick Mahorn, just to name 2 of them. And then they displayed the City Edition court. Let me tell you something. That court and those jerseys, man, that shit was tough. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was way better than last year's City Edition jerseys. I can laugh about it because I'm really pissed off about it. What I'm not pissed off about was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant ultimately cooked the Detroit Pistons. That's simple. That's simple. The Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant, more specifically, cooked Detroit. I think Kevin Durant had finished with 41 points. 41 points. Now, I understand that Kevin Durant is one of the best shooters in the NBA today. Probably one of the all-time 5 best scorers of all time. But my God, 41 points to stop a 3-game skid for the Phoenix Suns against a Detroit team that now has lost 4 straight. 4 straight! It's just unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. And I was watching the press conference for the Detroit Pistons and our head coach, Monty Williams, and he kept it pretty point blank. They were tougher than us. They played harder than us than what we did in stretches pretty much most of the game. And the way the Phoenix Suns beat the Detroit Pistons was they were more physical than them. And what's crazy about it is the Phoenix Suns are not that much of a physical team, right? They like to play more of an isolation basketball, maybe call some plays for Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant with 41 points, that's going to happen. That's going to happen like 9 times out of 10. So if you're the Pistons, you got to understand that Kevin Durant is going to get his. But there is no way in fucking hell that you allow Eric Gordon to drive to the lane multiple times and beat you. I understand if Kevin Durant can beat you, but Eric Gordon, and this is a Phoenix Suns team, mind you, that didn't have Bradley Beal or Devin Booker. But you allow guys like Eubanks, guys like Eric Gordon beat you, we're going to have a problem. I think the Detroit Pistons, I'm not saying that they're a bad team. I think they got a very well-known coach in Monty Williams. They are a young team going through some growing pains right now. But right now, this Pistons team is fucking soft. It's soft. Soft on the defensive end. Soft on the discipline. We can't run any offense because right now, this Detroit Pistons offense is like Miller Vanilla. You know, it's kind of like a Vanilla Ice type of flow on offense instead of the Detroit Bad Boys flow. The only person that showed me some heart was Marcus Sasser. He did really, really well. And as far as I'm concerned, Marcus Sasser should be in the starting lineup by now. I don't understand why Killian Hayes is in the motherfucking starting lineup, even though he's playing like shit. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Monty Williams, you know better than me. But if I was Monty Williams, here's my starting lineup. It should be Cade Cunningham. He should stay right where he is. It should be Isaiah Stewart. It should be Jalen Duren. It should be Asar Thompson, and it should be either or Jaden Ivey or Marcus Sasser. Killian Hayes, he's not a starter. He's not. He should be a guy that's coming off the bench. That's simple. That's simple. If Marcus Sasser or Jaden Ivey was in the starting lineup, we would be winning more games than Killian Hayes in the starting lineup. But back to Phoenix. Phoenix came in with intent. They were losing 3 straight coming in, and they said we would be damned if we were going to walk into Detroit and get this L. And all credit to the Phoenix Suns. They played a complete effort tonight. They played a complete effort than the Detroit Pistons ever did. Frank Vogel said it's not fun losing 1 in a row. Definitely not 3 in a row. And Kevin Durant said we were doing it by committee. And before the game, Monty Williams was like, that these are really cool games to be a part of. He enjoys playing against the team that he coached. And after the game, he gave all credit to Phoenix. And then Kevin Durant said he, like the rest of us, were tired of losing. Frank Vogel said that Kevin Durant really imposed his will, and Phoenix had that mentality of, we ain't gonna lose any more fucking games anymore. We're the Phoenix motherfucking Suns, okay? We better teach the league to understand who in the living hell that we are. Unfortunately, the Detroit Pistons don't have that mentality right now. We don't. Why? Again, the fouls, undisciplined, and here's the biggest thing that stands out to me. Monty Williams in his press conference said that the Pistons are relying on the refs way too much in games. You gotta play that shit through. I don't care if the referees don't give you calls. It is a ticky-tack basketball game. Refs don't call your calls your way. The refs might have missed some calls, but you don't gotta worry about that. The Detroit Pistons don't understand that. And I don't really get it because you are playing a team in the Golden State Warriors that is probably pissed the fuck off after what Cleveland did to them last night. And I was going to say on how to beat the Golden State Warriors thanks to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but unfortunately I cannot do that because the Detroit Pistons need to learn a winning mentality, and right now they are not representing the 3-1-3. They're not. When I think of the 3-1-3, I think of a city that has heart, a city that has grit, a city that is a blue collar style and a determination. The Detroit Lions got it. The Detroit Red Wings got it. The Detroit Pistons, y'all never had that since 2004. And I guarantee you, the going to work team, if Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Big Ben Wallace, Lindsey Hunter, Mehmet Okur, and the rest of that team suited up against this current Pistons team, the going to work Pistons would kick every single one of y'all asses on both sides of the floor. Now, Asar Thompson, again, you're an absolute stud, all right? You're a stud. You made like 1-3 and you made great defensive plays. You got to work on your offense, but I'm trusting you really, really heavy right now. Marcus Sasser, you have impressed. Cade Cunningham, the scoring is there, but again, you got to learn how to take care of the basketball. It is the same motherfucking shit that the Detroit Pistons have, and unfortunately for Detroit, they are in for a long night because I expect the Golden State Warriors to bounce back tonight. I expect the Golden State Warriors to impose their will on the Detroit Pistons. And yeah, I'm going against Detroit. And here's why I am going against Detroit. I think the Detroit Pistons have disrespected the game of basketball. It's that simple. They are not listening to the coaches. They are not listening to Monty Williams. There's not a single damn leader on this team. And you can argue that Asar Thompson is the only person that plays like a leader. But in order to win basketball games and in order to be a winning team in this league, you gotta gel. And right now, this Detroit Pistons team ain't gelling. They not. They are not gelling. They are not playing together. They are not playing complete basketball games. They've shown flashes of how good they could be. But since the second game of the season against the Charlotte Hornets, I do not see any consistency about the Detroit Pistons. And unless that shit changes, I'm going to continue to go against the Detroit Pistons until the Pistons learn how to play a complete basketball game. And Jalen Duren, let me say something about you. I know you're young. You're 19 years old. You have a ton of talent. I get it. But you gotta control your emotions, man. I understand that you were trying to make a basketball play. I understand that you were trying to get some free space on Eric Gordon. I believe it was Eric Gordon. I'm not that really sure. But you cannot foul him that hard, bro. You cannot. It's just the same fucking shit that irritates me as a Detroit Pistons fan because I grew up on the Detroit Pistons, okay? The 2003, 2004 going to work Detroit Pistons would have more discipline and more accountability than what this fucking team has right now, and I am sick of it. I am just flat out sick of it of how the Detroit Pistons are playing basketball right now. They are fouling a lot. They are undisciplined. They are not listening to Monty Williams, and I've had it up to here. I've had it. I really hope Golden State kicks your ass. I really do. Because maybe you need a punch in the mouth. Maybe you need a blowout loss to wake your asses up. Because right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a much better team than the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, I said it. The Cleveland Cavaliers clear Detroit. The Sacramento Kings clear Detroit. Hell, the San Antonio Spurs with Victor Wembanyama clear the Detroit Pistons as far as ever goes right now. I really hope Golden State wakes you up because I don't trust you guys right now. Asar Thompson, Marcus Sasser, I trust you both. But everybody else, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you gotta prove to me that I can trust y'all. Maybe against the Golden State Warriors, you gotta prove to me that you really want it. Because if you go 2-6, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, man. I can just like go off and off and off and off until you get it through your thick fucking skulls. But it's not worth it. It's not worth going off on a team that plays like shit. And on a night where you're supposed to be honoring the bad boys. On a City Edition day where you were wearing your cool black jerseys, you had a badass basketball court, and you had Rick Mahorn and Isaiah Zeke Thomas in your building. You showed that those bad boys, you showed them that you're nothing. Besides the fact of Marcus Sasser, besides the fact of Asar Thompson, everybody else, you showed them that you are not ready for the big stage. Because yes, it is going to get tougher. Yes, it's going to get tougher from here. And maybe the Detroit Pistons have the toughest schedule in the NBA. But that don't mean nothing. You're supposed to play with heart. You're supposed to play with grit. The same heart and grit that the city of Detroit has. Unfortunately, the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Red Wings haven't. The San Antonio Spurs, Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and certainly the Golden State Warriors have it. And y'all don't. Besides Marcus Sasser and besides Asar Thompson, none of y'all motherfuckers have it right now. None. The shooting percentage was pretty even. The 3-point percentage was pretty even. The free throws, 89-85% in favor of the Phoenix Suns. The rebounds, Phoenix Suns dominated you by 10. They were more physical than you. The blocks were 10-6 in favor of Phoenix. The steals were 8-7 in favor of Phoenix. Points in the paint were 64 even, but the fouls 23-13 in favor of Detroit. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I guess until you show me discipline, I'm not going to cover you guys. Maybe let them know Kings in a 3-1-3 was a bad idea. Maybe I just need to go back to the Cavs and Kings before until the Pistons learn how to play complete basketball. I don't know. I'm just embarrassed even talking to you guys right now. Kevin Durant, 41 points, 5 rebounds, assists, 2 blocks. Eric Gordon, 21 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal. As far as the Detroit Pistons, I can only name 2 guys. Asar Thompson, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 4 blocks. Again, stat sheet stuffer. He is the only consistent guy that you have right now. Marcus Sasser really impressed. 22 points off the bench. He was 4 for 6 from 3 with 4 assists, a steal, and 3 rebounds. Cade Cunningham, again, the scoring, 26 points with 3 rebounds and 6 assists, but 6 turnovers. That's not good enough, man. Again, all credit to Phoenix and the Pistons. Right now, I don't know what to tell y'all. Again, I hope you prove me wrong, but as it stands right now, Golden State might embarrass you tonight. And maybe you needed to wake you up. Maybe you needed to say, you know what? Maybe Monty Williams knows what the fuck he's talking about. Maybe we need to listen to him because you're playing your own way of basketball instead of Monty Williams' brand of basketball. And learn what the Detroit grit is all about. Learn 3-1-3 culture. Learn blue-collar grind style. Until you learn that, I don't know what to tell y'all. I'm embarrassed that I came back to a childhood team that's playing like shit. I'm really embarrassed. And maybe for the Detroit Pistons fans that are listening to this, you should be embarrassed as well. I get it's an overreaction, but I'm going to have to call it what it is. The Pistons are the softest team in the league, and I'm going to continue to call it that until they prove to me that they can win with consistency. In any event, that's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, and wherever you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. If you can, please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends. Give Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313 a 5-star review. I'm Scarlett Weisberg, and I will see you right back here for another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313.